Hey guys, welcome to the T.REX Armory. Today we're going to be discussing my most recent firearm purchase, and that is my Atlas 2011. So if you guys have been watching our content as of late, you're going to see a trend of us shooting a lot of pistols, a lot of 2011s. So here on the Armory channel, we released a platypus video pretty recently. That is going over this pistol right here. So this is a 1911 double stack 9mm 1911 that takes Glock mags. We did a pretty long review on this guy. And then also recently over on the main channel, Lucas and Brantley did a video going over staccatos. So if you watched our platypus video here on the Armory channel, you're going to notice some similarities between the format of that video and the format of this video. One of the main differences is I'm the only shooter, the only person talking in this video, and that is because this pistol, actually both of these pistols, these are my personal guns. So this is not a T.REX Arm Atlas 2011. This is my personal, and this Glock 17 is also my personal pistol. So just to add a little bit of context to this video, if you've heard me ramble on in previous videos, you may have heard me talk about how I'm swapping to a 2011 or a 1911 style pistol for next season competing in the tactical games. And that is because the type of shooting that we do in the sport leans heavily towards pistols like this, more competition, more accurate pistols, and less duty style pistol. So that is what we're going to be really evaluating today, is if this $7,000 pistol is really worth the money comparatively to the $600 Glock in the context of the type of shooting that I'm doing for the sport. So we're going to talk about the financial decision behind this. We're going to talk about, just overall what led myself to choosing this pistol towards the end of the video once we're done shooting it. Because I was heavily debating between a platypus, this was going to be my primary choice just due to price and the fact that it takes Glock mags, or I was going to go with a Staccato P. I got to visit Staccato's manufacturing facility, and I was extremely impressed by their professionalism and just how well these pistols are made. So this was on the list as well. But the reason why I chose this pistol, I'll discuss at the end of the video. But first and foremost, we need to get out to the range and shoot them and see what kind of results we get. So out on the range, we're going to train for 4 different things, and those 4 things are going to be accuracy shooting, recoil control, target transitioning, and shooting and moving. So each one of these, we're going to break up the shooting basically into 4 different drills. We're going to train a specific drill for a little bit of time, and then we're going to shoot an assessment at the end. And we're going to do both of those with both pistols. So basically, I'm going to start with either the Glock or the Atlas. I'm going to do the training, then shoot the assessment, then I'll change my loadout over to the Atlas, and I'm going to do the same thing with the other pistol, and we're going to do that for 4 total different things. So we're going to start off with the type of shooting that we see most often in the tactical games, and that is the bullseye style shooting. So basically our accuracy type shooting. So it's going to be slow, a little boring, but we're going to get to see the accuracy differences between both these pistols and how well I can shoot the Atlas comparatively to the Glock, or maybe I shoot the Glock better than the Atlas. Now the type of ammo we're going to be shooting on the range is a few different types of ammo. So for the majority of the shooting with the Glock, we're going to be shooting just Winchester 115 grain. That is what this pistol has been shooting. It's the type of ammo I've been shooting at matches. I have been shooting some 124 grain, other manufacturers, but all in all, it's basically just range training ammo. For the Atlas, we're actually going to be shooting staccato ammo. So Staccato has some really bold claims about how good their ammo is, and this is probably the ammo I'm going to shoot next season in tactical games. So for the majority of shooting with the Atlas, we're going to be shooting their range training ammo. This is, if I remember correctly, yes, this is 124 grain ball ammunition. But for the accuracy shooting we're going to do, at least with the group testing at a minimum, we're going to shoot Staccato's match ammo. So this is 136 grain open tip match ammo, and this is apparently very, very accurate ammo. So when we do the group testing, basically when we zero both the pistols, we're going to use this ammo just to see the accuracy difference between the Atlas and the Glock. For the belt setups and the kit, they're basically the exact same. We just have speed belts with Ragnarok mag carriers for both pistols. Now it is important to note, we do not make a holster for the Atlas. I'm using a Staccato P holster for the gun. It works pretty decently. I have a little bit of a pinch point with my finger going into the holster, and the Staccato rail is a little bit thinner, so it's a little sticky, but if I just loosen the holster up, it'll be suffice for what we're doing today. And then for the Glock, we are testing the latest version of one of our level 2 holsters. So a little bit of T&E going on at the same time during this video with this holster. And other than that, the setups for both the belts are basically the same. Now the biggest variable I would say with equipment setup is going to be the optics between these 2 pistols. So I took my 1MOA SRO off my Glock, put it on the Atlas, because this is the pistol I'm going to be competing with and I put my RCR back on my Glock 17. So obviously the SRL is going to be a little bit easier to shoot. Shouldn't make all that much of a difference, but just to note a variable there. So just to go over the pistol builds real quick, it is important to know the differences between the pistols. Obviously the Atlas is a 2011. This is an Aris model, so this is an aluminum frame, 4.6-inch ported barrel, and everything about this gun is factory. I didn't change anything about it. So we have about a 3-pound trigger. We have an ambi safety, which I could say right now I'm probably going to swap that out for a non-ambi once I get around to it. And then we just have a carry magwell, so not a big magwell at all. This is not a competition magwell. For the Glock 17, this is an all-stock lock other than the stippling. I do have a Vickers magazine release, and then I also have the Glock performance trigger in here. I actually really like this trigger. I've been shooting it quite a bit recently, and I do quite enjoy it. So we do have a nice trigger in this gun that's going to help us with the comparison between both of these pistols. The point of the video is, can I perform better with the Atlas versus how I've performed with the Glock? So just a little bit more context. I have about 15,000 rounds on this Glock 17 this year alone, maybe around between 12 to 15,000 rounds. I've shot multiple USPSA matches with this. I've shot 4 tactical games matches with it. So I am very comfortable and very familiar with this gun, to say the least. With the Atlas, I have 50 rounds on this pistol. I just took it out, shot a couple mags the other day. Didn't even zero it. Just wanted to, I was excited, to be honest. It's an expensive pistol. Just wanted to shoot it for a little bit. And I have pretty limited experience shooting 1911s and 2011 style pistols. We did shoot the Platypus quite a bit, but as you guys heard in the video, if you watched it, that was the first day I shot it. Shot the 1,200 rounds, 1,300 rounds through, whatever I did. And other than that, I was issued a 1911, a 45 single stack 1911s. And since then, I've kind of thrown out everything I've learned about pistol shooting, because the military doesn't teach you how to shoot pistols all that well. So all that to say, I will be learning as I go with this pistol, and that is something I'm already aware of. Now, the last thing I do want to mention before we head out to the range is my relationships with these companies and any biases that I have. Glock has no idea who I am. Atlas has no idea who I am. I bought both of these pistols with no discounts. I paid out of pocket full price for both of these guns. I bought this pistol before I started working at T.REX, and I just got this Atlas. So there is a little bit of bias here. Obviously, I will be honest, this was a very expensive pistol, so I am going to really hope that this pistol does really well. So if you catch any bias, drop it in the comments, call me out on it. But I'm going to try and be as honest as I can here, because this is a really good learning point, I think, for a lot of people, especially that people that are competing in the tactical games. With how prominent these style pistols are, is it worth it to jump up to the top of the line 2011 style pistol? And that's what we're going to see today. Now that we understand what's going on, we know what we're trying to accomplish today, let's pack up, head out to the range. For the round count today, since this is not a durability or reliability assessment or test of either of these pistols, this is a performance evaluation based on myself. You know, like I said, can I perform better with the Atlas versus the Glock? The round count's gonna be pretty low. We're gonna shoot for at least 500 rounds between both pistols. And if we have time, we'll obviously up the round count out. It is also really cold, so let's pack up and head out to the range. So we just finished all of the shooting for the day. We actually got through more rounds than originally planned, which is a good thing. So on the Atlas, we got through 750 rounds, and then with the Glock, we got right at 500 rounds. Now, before we get into explaining the drills and kind of final thoughts, final opinions, final fifis, I guess you want to call it, on my purchase decision, I should explain Atlas GUNWORKS. So the manufacturer of this 2011 is called Atlas GUNWORKS. They are a very, very high-end 2011, obviously with the $7,000 price point on this pistol. If you want to compare them to other manufacturers out there, I don't really know of a good comparison, to be honest. Even if I, try to compare it to like Knight's Armament when in the AR-15 world, I don't know of anyone that is kind of comparable to this. So their pistols are obviously really well made. They're all hand fitted. There's only a couple people that get their hands on all of these, and there's not a lot of these produced, and they're also in very, very high demand. So if you order one of these custom from the website, it's an 18-month lead time. Given the price point of these, that's pretty crazy. So the cheapest pistol that they offer is $5,800, if I remember correctly, and it goes all the way up into past $10,000, and those are kind of like the side charging racing guns. So one thing I do want to explain is kind of why I selected this model in particular. So this is one of the least popular models out there, and in fact, the day after I bought it, they discontinued this line, which is kind of funny. I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing. Maybe the value of this will go up, maybe the value will just go down, I don't know. So this is a aluminum frame 4.6-inch ported barrel. I mentioned that earlier in the video. A lot of people that are purchasing high-end competition style 2011s are buying steel frame guns with compensators or ports, or if they're trying to compete in the limited optic division in USPSA, they'll just forego the ports or the compensator, but go with a 5-inch barrel steel frame. My thought behind selecting this model in particular was obviously prioritizing my competing in the tactical games. So I went with the aluminum frame because these guns already shoot extremely well, especially with the ports. I don't need, in my opinion, I don't need the additional weight of the steel frame to control the gun even further. The main reason why I bought this pistol was to make the accuracy bullseye type shooting easier. And even if this gun weighed the same as a Glock and recoiled as much as a Glock, just having the trigger and how easy and well this trigger works is much better than the Glock. So that is why I picked this one. I picked the aluminum frame because just to save a little bit of weight. It's about 8 or 9 ounces lighter than the steel frame version of this, which I think is a big deal. It's not so much, trying to reduce the weight on my hip as I rope climb or anything like that. It's just less weight on my hip that's going to flop around as I run and stuff. That's kind of why I prioritize this. And I went with the ported version just to help with the recoil a little bit. And also, yes, this pistol is $7,000, but I got a screaming deal on this. I didn't pay $7 grand for this. But we'll talk about that more at the end. So getting into the drills, the first thing we trained for was just accuracy, bullseye style shooting. This was the more boring shooting. Got through a couple hundred rounds between the two pistols here. So we just started on a tactical games target, shot both standing freestyle with a full grip, and then single hand strong arm only, and then single hand support hand only. Went through just kind of shooting how I wanted to with that, and then the assessment that we did was on a specific tactical games target, and we measured out the distance. So the standing freestyle with a full grip, we shot at 20 yards with both pistols, and then the single arm with strong arm only was at 15 yards, and then the single arm support hand only we shot at 10 yards. So we did a 10-round group from each position with both pistols. And the comparison between both these pistols when it comes down to the performance is the Atlas shot better. It shot 3 rounds more. So I got 23 out of 30 hits in total with the Atlas. With the Glock, I got 20 out of 30. Now I will say, that is the best I've ever shot this thing. So starting off the day, I was like, uh-oh, here we go. This video is going to be interesting if my Glock just beats the Atlas on everything. Because if anything, I thought the Atlas would dominate the Glock on, it was the accuracy shooting. But as I mentioned before in other videos, like in the platypus video, shooting, just tight bullseye groups with both hands, I don't think there's much of an advantage with the 2011. I think you can do really well with the Glock. It just goes down to that single arm shooting that is much easier with this pistol, and that is because of the trigger weight. So as I'm just presenting with the gun, I'm not trying to fight a 4.5 to 6 pound trigger, whatever the Glock is. Rather, I have a single stage 3 pound trigger with this, and it's just, there's a lot less tension required to break the shot. So if I'm sitting here fighting, my Glock, obviously there's a lot more tension with that trigger pull, and it just tends to induce shooter error, as in like yanking shots and stuff like that. And honestly, a couple of the shots I missed with this pistol were my fault. not exactly used to how light this trigger is, and I was just anticipating it a little bit. So it can definitely do better. And like I said, that was the best type of shooting, best groups I've ever shot with this Glock. So back it up a little bit. We need to talk about the zeros, actually. We kind of skipped ahead of that. So both of these pistols shot about the exact same group with the staccato match ammo. The Atlas did really well. And then this Glock, my Glock 17, really locks that ammo. I've never shot a group that good with this pistol. So if I compete in the USPSA, or even just bring this pistol as a backup to tactical games, I will definitely be continuing to use that staccato match ammo with this pistol, because that was extremely impressive. So the next thing we worked on after the accuracy stuff was just recoil management. So we just did some bill drills. We did them up close, and then we pushed it back a little bit. We ended up shooting out to 30 yards was the farthest we shot bill drills between both the pistols. Aside from the bill drills, we did doubles. It's not as easy to manipulate the controls of a 2011 comparatively to a Glock, just because you have a safety to manipulate. Some of them have a grip safety. This one, Atlases do not have a grip safety. But then on the reload, the slide lock, you can't exactly reach with your thumb unless you have extremely long thumbs. So it's basically a two-hand reload. So just getting used to that is a thing. Compared to the Glock, don't have a safety obviously besides the trigger safety. And then if I just slam a mag hard enough into the gun, it'll send the slide forward. So generally speaking, weapon manipulations with the Glock or similar pistols are going to be a little bit better than 2011. So we worked on it a little bit with the recoil control. And then the assessment, we did a bill drill rundown. So that was bill drill at 25 yards, bill drill at 15 yards, and then a bill drill at 5 yards, all in a single string of fire. So there was a little bit of movement there. The Atlas and the Glock actually did very similar on. So the hit factor with the Atlas was slightly better. It was a 6.8 comparatively to the Glock was a 6.63, so extremely close. The Atlas was a little bit closer, or a little bit faster in time. So overall, that type of shooting, the Glock and the Atlas, there's not a huge advantage between a 2011 style pistol comparatively to the Glock, and that's something that I anticipated. Practical type shooting, I think the Glock and the Atlas are going to be really comparable on. There's only really one thing that I think about when it comes to practical shooting that the Atlas is going to be better at, and we'll talk about that when we get to the last drill. The next skill we worked on was target transition. So we just set up a designated target, shot it a few times, and then we shot the exact same string of fire for an assessment, but we added a reload in. So the assessment was 2 USPSA targets. They were about 7 yards away. Those are the ones that I was shooting very fast. There was a piece of steel, which was the designated target, which is a full-size human. That was at 40 yards, 35, 40-ish yards, and then 2 more USPSAs, and they were between 20 and 25 yards apart. There's one slightly farther than the other one. So just did that a bunch of times with both pistols, and then, like I said, the assessment, we just added a reload in. So with the Atlas, the hit factor on the designated target was a 4.85, comparatively to the Glock was a 2.64. So the Atlas did perform much better than the Glock there, and I actually thought I shot that drill pretty well with the Glock. It's just one thing that I think this gun is much easier to do and is shoot faster at distance. The dot literally does not leave the window under recoil because the gun shoots so flat, and I can just get on the gun a little bit faster. Comparatively to the Glock, you can shoot the Glock just as fast, I think, as this pistol, but it just requires a lot more input, just a little bit more effort, in my opinion. So with that drill, the Atlas just shot better. So the fourth and final skill we worked on was shooting and moving. So we set up a pretty interesting drill where it was kind of an L-shaped movement with some targets in between cars, with some boxes in the background. And the idea behind this drill was to work on all facets of movement in one drill, which is generally something you don't want to do when you're out training, but honestly, even that drill is more of just an assessment to see how well you can shoot and move and just break off some rust that I built up. So you started on the move, so on buzzer, you drew your gun, you shot a target on the move, you got into position, shot another target, you laterally moved over where you shot 2 more targets, and then you moved back, another lateral movement, and then you shot a target on the retreat, and then you had to retreat into a position and then shoot a final target. It's actually a pretty complicated drill. Although I just said it's probably not the best drill to work on movement, it is a fun one. I do recommend trying it out because it's a good assessment of how well your movement is on a bunch of different things. So this is one of the points that I think the Atlas is going to be better at when it comes to shooting and moving, and that is shooting while on the move. I think it makes things a little bit easier because the gun just doesn't require as much input, like I already mentioned, and the gun just moves a little bit less when you're shooting and moving. So as I'm shooting and moving, my body's making the gun move up and down. Just the fact that it has a little bit less recoil, the gun's just moving a little bit less comparatively to a Glock that has a little bit more recoil. So as I'm moving, inducing the movement in the gun, this gun's a little bit snappier, the gun's moving a little bit more, it's just a little bit more to control. So even with all of the practice runs when we're just doing that L-shaped movement, the Atlas crushed the Glock, although I was shooting the Glock a lot better than I thought I would. I think that is somewhat to do with the fact that I shot the Atlas first, so I was kind of just familiar with the drill. But anyways, the assessment that we did is in and out. This is a drill I've shot on camera quite a bit. This is one of my favorite drills to do. This is a really good assessment, again, to test your movement. So you start on a target. You can set the distances however you want. We set all of the targets up at 7 yards, or no, we set them up at 10 yards. So you start on the target, and then you transition over, you shoot a target on the retreat, you run into a position, you shoot another target, advance, transition back to the target you shot on the retreat, and you shoot it on the advance, and then you finish on the target that you started in. So with the hit factors on that one, the Atlas shot a 5.29, which was really good with all alphas. And again, it's that ability to shoot on the move with the Atlas that I think is a little bit easier, and then getting into position, which it's just the gun moves less, so I just think it's easier. Comparatively to the Glock, shot a 4.51. So the times with the Glock were actually just a 100th of a second faster, so just slightly faster. But again, being able to move that fast and get good hits is just a little bit easier with the 2011 style pistol. Now that we got through the drills, let's talk about some of the weird things that we experienced with the Atlas. So in the beginning, you guys saw that we were getting some malfunctions with this gun, and that was just because the gun was completely dry. I didn't lubricate the gun whatsoever. 2011 style pistols that have all these tight tolerances, it's metal on metal, do require lubrication, unlike Glocks. Glocks even like to run dirty. So if you're gonna get a gun like this is a high performance pistol. It's going to require more maintenance. This is not designed to run like a Glock. So those malfunctions were just my fault for not lubricating the gun. It had a little bit of oil on it when I got it, and I thought, we'll just see. I just was thinking about seeing how far it would go. It didn't get very far. It needed some lubrication. Well, we're here in the Armory. I apologize for the abrupt change of scenery, but over the course of a couple weeks since we filmed this video, some more things have happened with the Atlas, and I wanted to address those things in this video. So as of the filming, as of right now, it's been 2 weeks since we shot all of the content you've seen previously in this video, but like I said, something else happened that needed to be addressed, I think, in this video. So continuing on with the, just talking about the issues that we experienced on the range with the Atlas, I'm going to have to show you the staccato here as of my 2011 replacement because I don't have my Atlas, but we'll talk about that here in a second. So we talked about the malfunctions with the Atlas with it just not having any lubrication, which was my fault. But one of the other issues that we experienced was with one of the magazines. So the magazines that I have for this pistol are all premium magazines, so they're $130 magazines from Atlas. They do have 2 different tiers of magazines, so they have their classic magazines, which are about 70 bucks. If you think that's expensive, if you buy a Glock mag, throw a base pad on it, you're gonna be right around the same price anyways. But like I said, all the magazines I have are their premium option mags. So on these magazines, there's a little pin that indexes into the base pad. And I lost that pin, so the base pad was going to come off. So all that to say is, until I get a replacement for that base pad, the magazine's no good. So that's a little bit disappointing that that expensive of a magazine ceased to work after one range use, and I didn't really use it all that much based on the round count we had, and it was a brand new magazine. So this is a principle for all of your equipment, regardless of how expensive or cheap it is. Just check screws, check torque specs and things like that, because it was just a set screw being loose on the bottom of the magazine base pad that I could have tightened down, but I just didn't check it. So I noticed that the index pegs were moving up and down on all the magazines, and one magazine in particular happens to be the magazine that it fell out of was more loose than the other one. So that's kind of on me, but at the same time still disappointing that you have to do that for a $130 magazine. Now another thing that happened that I was pretty disappointed in was the front grip screw of the Atlas went missing during the time on the range. Like I said previously in the video, this was the only time that I've shot the pistol other than just shooting 50 rounds on the range for fun. So the fact that the front grip screw went missing is kind of disappointing. Apparently that is very common for 2011 style pistols, and in fact I talked to a lot of people and they just choose to not replace the screw because it goes missing so often, which is kind of weird, but if it's a 2011 thing, it's a 2011 thing. I don't think it should be a thing with any firearm, to be honest, that a screw just falls out and it falls out routinely. Maybe mine was just loose. Maybe I should have checked the torque spec, but given the price point of the pistol, I don't think I should have had to, but it is what it is. I did order the screw already. It was $2, not the end of the world. So now we get into the part that required us to basically reshoot the closer of this video, and that is I don't have my Atlas right now because it is broken. It is dead in the water broken. So One thing about 2011s, and in fact, this Staccato P has the same issue right now, is if you over insert magazines, as in you drive the magazine too hard into the gun because you're using an extended mag, or even just normal magazines, if you just press the gun or the magazine into the gun too hard, it can interface with the ejector and it can break it. So we didn't have that happen on the range, but it happened to me while I was dry firing. So we filmed all of this, the content of this video, previously to the filming right now here in the Armory on a Friday. Did all of the shooting, did everything on a Friday, and the next day on a Saturday, I was dry firing with my pistol. At one point, I was practicing reloads, and I broke the ejector off of the pistol using flush fit magazines. So there's two ways to prevent damaging the ejector on 2011s. One is to just not reload your pistol from side lock, and you won't have to worry about that. The other one is use magazines like this magazine and the Staccato, where it interfaces with the grip module where you physically can't over insert the magazine, and that is what I thought I was doing. I still think that's what I was doing, but I can't check it right now because my ejector is missing, so I can't check to see if the magazines were interfacing with it or not. Now, this is an issue that I was aware of. This is a common 2011 thing. It's a super annoying thing to deal with 2011s. So that is why I was dry firing with the flush fit magazines, but still, it still broke, and right now Atlas has my pistol. So before we get into any more of that, we do need to talk about a little bit of context with the purchase of the pistol and the condition I bought the pistol in. The Atlas Aris 4.6-inch ported barrel that I purchased, if you buy it directly from Atlas GUNWORKS or from one of their dealers directly, is a $7,000 pistol. This is one of their more expensive options that they currently have. Like I said in the beginning of the video, I did not get a discount from Atlas GUNWORKS when I purchased the pistol, but at the same time, I did say I got a screaming deal on this pistol, and that is because I bought the pistol off of GunBroker. Now, the price I paid for the pistol was $5,500, and for $5,500, what I got for the pistol was a 5 MOA SRO, and I also got 7 premium magazines to go with the pistol. So I would say that is a very, very good price. If you were to buy all of those things new, the pistol itself, the optic, and the 7 magazines, I saved about $2,500 in buying the pistol off of GunBroker in the way I did. So the important thing to note here, and why I mentioned that, is the condition of the pistol when I purchased it. So according to the listing on the GunBroker page, the pistol was listed as like new in box, and it was technically used, and it was only used for a test fire. The pistol had 10 rounds fired through it, and after getting the pistol myself and then looking it over and judging the wear that we got on the pistol just from the short amount of shooting we did versus the condition of the pistol when we first got it, I can say with 100% confidence, at least 99.99% confidence that the pistol had right around 10 rounds fire on it before I got it. It was never lubricated, never oiled, and as you guys saw during the accuracy testing, it did not take many rounds for the gun to start to malfunction before it needed lubrication. So with all that being said, the Atlas pistol that I bought was basically brand new, but I did assume the risk of buying a like new pistol, as in it wasn't technically new, so I avoided the muzzle to hammer warranty that Atlas has for a year on their pistols if you buy it new from them or from one of their manufacturers. With all that being said, it is very disappointing to experience all the issues that we've experienced with this Atlas pistol already. Even given the condition of the pistol that I got, it being technically used, even though, you know, it really only had about 10 rounds fired through it. The round count of the pistol before I got it being 10 rounds should not have had any play into some of these issues with the magazine failing, the front grip screw falling out, and then me breaking the ejector during dry fire. Those are things I just should not have experienced this early on in the pistol. And I'll be honest, even if I bought this pistol, not this one, obviously because I don't have it, even if I bought the pistol with 1,000 or 5,000 rounds on it, I shouldn't have had some of these issues. I definitely shouldn't have broke the extractor, in my opinion, where the gun has to be sent off and it's going to take 2 months to repair. That's something that, in my opinion, should not be experienced in that short of a round count on any pistol. Well, whether it's a 2011 thing or not, it should not be a thing, especially at the price point that you pay for an Atlas GUNWORKS pistol. It's very disappointing. So 2 weeks ago when we filmed this video, the things that I said in the closer then are obviously going to be different than what I'm about to say now because of the broken extractor issue. So just going on with the broken extractor, Atlas GUNWORKS will have my pistol for about 2 months to repair the pistol. It is a $430 repair. So I had the pistol for 1 day of training, 1 day of dry fire. I had the pistol in my possession for less than a week before I have to send it off for a 2 month and $430 repair. Very, very disappointing. But I will say the reasoning for the time of repair is understandable. So they have to refit the extractor on the pistol. It has to be recoated with DLC, and they have to recoat some other parts of the pistol in order to do that. And DLC coating just has a lead time. It is what it is. It's unfortunate, but it's not like they're going to be sitting on my pistol for 7 of the 8 weeks and then take 2 days to fix it and send it back to me. They actually were really responsive with the customer service with the pistol. So I broke it on a Saturday night. I emailed them on Saturday night, and this was the Saturday before Christmas. Sunday morning, it's a Sunday, they responded, and over the course of the week between Christmas and the holidays, I had a shipping label, and it was 1-day air shipped back to them. And the communication since they received the pistol has been great. They've been updating me as the process goes on. But it's just disappointing that I have to spend $430 and wait 2 months for the pistol, regardless of the reasons why it's that expensive and how long it's going to take. So now we need to give our final thoughts and opinions on the pistol. When you talk about our purchasing decision of why I chose to buy this pistol and all of these sorts of things. So first and foremost, the most important thing I think that people should get out of this video is if you should buy an Atlas over something like a Glock, and is it worth the 10 to 11 times price point of your normal striker-fired pistol for competing in the tactical game specifically. So if you're buying a pistol for everyday carry, buying a pistol to compete in USPSA, different conversation, and I will definitely say no, just buy a Glock. But for the tactical games, I think the context is a little bit different because of the style of shooting we do. But I'm still going to say I don't think it's 10 times better than the Glock. As you guys saw, I can shoot this pistol pretty well. I'm really familiar with this gun. And I will say, since I've added the Glock performance trigger to this gun, it's made a huge difference. I can shoot this pistol pretty well, but it's still not better than the Atlas. As you guys saw through the various drills we did, I shot the Atlas better in everything. But is it worth that extra $6,500 if I paid, considering if I paid full price for the Atlas? No, it's really not. So that comes down to why did I buy the Atlas? Because I kind of assumed that was going to be the case. So the value is not really there in comparison between the Glock and the Atlas. Why did I buy one? Well, let's first talk about the decision on just buying the platform in general. So it's hard to argue that Glocks are going to be better than 1911s or 2011s when it comes down to the style of shooting that we're doing for the tactical games. They're just better all around. They're easier to shoot in those bullseye style targets. They're, in my opinion, a little more accurate based on my experiences. Other people may have varying experiences there, but the pistol's more accurate, has a better trigger, and that is ultimately why they're better for the sport of the tactical games. Given that information, the decision then came down to which 1911 style pistol I was going to purchase. So let's add a little bit more context to this decision-making process, and that is the fact that T.REX Arms pays for me to go and compete at these tactical games matches. So I'm essentially a sponsored athlete through T.REX Arms. I represent the company as a brand representative, as a technically sponsored athlete when I go and compete at these events. T.REX Arms invests a lot of time, a lot of money, just a lot into me to be able to represent the company at these matches. So I think it is only right for me to invest part of myself back into the company so I can represent the company as best as I possibly can. So aside from training and investing my time into getting ready for the sport, part of me investing myself back into the company is spending some of my own coin to have good equipment to represent the company as best as I possibly can. So I have the best possible rifle setup that I think is going to be best for me to eliminate any gear setbacks, any gear limitations, or anything like that. And I wanted the same case when it came down to my pistol, and that is why I ultimately bought the Atlas GUNWORKS pistol. Obviously, I could have went with something cheaper like the Platypus, like the Staccato P. Even a Staccato XC would have been much cheaper than this purchasing decision, but ultimately, this was the primary reason. I know really good shooters like Jacob Hepner and some other guys that are using Atlas GUNWORKS, and I also know of Atlas GUNWORKS as a company. I trusted their reputation, and given those two main points there of the reputation of the company and me wanting to have the best equipment possible to represent T.REX Arms as best as I possibly can, that is why I bought the Atlas GUNWORKS pistol. Now there are a few other small reasons of why I chose the Atlas over other pistols, but I think the most important small reason I would say that I would like to mention is the grip safety of the Atlas GUNWORKS. It doesn't have one. So tactical games rules state that you cannot modify the safety of any firearm, whether it's of your pistol or your rifle. So if I wanted to not have a grip safety, I would have to buy something that came factory without one. I can't just tape down this grip safety or have it pinned aftermarket. That would be illegal according to the tactical games rule set. So there's only a couple options out there that I'm aware of that offer pistols from the factory without grip safeties, or 1911, 2011 style pistols, and that is Atlas and I believe Infinity. I'm sure there's some other ones out there, but if you want to talk about expensive pistols, go look up Infinity 2011s. They're way more expensive, and definitely not willing to do that. So the final recommendation and talking point that I want to leave you guys with as a result of this video is if you should buy something like an Atlas GUNWORKS, a piece of equipment that is the top tier, highest performance item in its category, is that something for you? And honestly, that answer really depends on what you're going to do with it. I know that's not the best answer out there, but if you're looking to go compete at the highest level possible and you want to eliminate any variables that your equipment may throw into the mix, then yeah, invest your money into the best equipment out there. Perform at the highest level possible, and leave the only variable to your performance to yourself. But what you should not do is go out and buy super expensive equipment just to have it sit in a gun safe, never train with it, and honestly never compete with it. If you're not going to compete with equipment like this, don't buy it. It's not really for that. If you're going to have equipment that's just for your everyday carry, for being a prepared citizen, for just training on the flat range, Glocks are going to be a much better option than Atlas GUNWORKS, in my opinion. Remember, a lot of these things that I say is my opinion, and it's totally okay to disagree with me. And if there's one last thing I can leave you guys with, it is that you can own and like and enjoy both Glocks and 2011s. That is totally okay. There's nothing wrong with owning 2011s and Glocks. There's nothing wrong with training with 2011s and training with Glocks. There's nothing wrong with competing with both. It's totally okay to do both. Just because you see some people online say that either one of these pistols are terrible, it's not the case. They're both really good at their intended purpose. So I really appreciate you guys watching this video. I hope you guys got something out of it, whether it's just learning about Atlas GUNWORKS, maybe you learned something from the video or from the drills that we shot on the range, whatever the case may be. I just appreciate you guys watching. Until next time, this is Brandon from T.REX.